Good afternoon, everybody. God bless you. I hope your weekend was just very peaceful and refreshing. And I'm really excited to encourage you today with this e-devotion. And I just want to ask all of you if you have really taken the time and given consideration and looked back at your life and realized that but for the grace of God that you have actually made it. You and I have made it to this point. And in fact, many of us have destroyed so many beautiful things that have come into our lives because we continue to process everything through the lens of past disappointments and past hurts and past wounds. And so with that stated, I want to begin in Acts chapter 27, verse 10. It's a story that you need to be very familiar with. It's a story and a teaching that has ministered to my heart in so many seasons of my life. And at this particular point in scripture, we are looking at Paul, and Paul is telling everyone on the ship. He's like, you know what? We're not going to sail. We don't sail. And how many times we don't listen to wise counsel, each one of us. And that wise counsel could have saved ourselves a lot of grief and a lot of pain if we had just listened to someone who had been trying to instruct us. And I've heard that from so many people. But the word tells us that they didn't listen. And actually, they set sail, and they set sail into the storm of their lives. And Acts 27:18 says they began to lighten the ship. And you know, it's very interesting because there is nothing like a storm in your life that forces you to realign priorities. You really find out quickly what you need, what's unnecessary, what's even excess baggage in your life. But the word tells us that the ship was destroyed, but they made it. They made it to land on boards. They made it to land on broken pieces of that ship. And so right now, I want to encourage someone, and I want to say right now that you may be broken, but you are still coming out of this. You are wounded, but you are still coming out. You are bleeding, but you are still coming out of this situation. You're crying, you're confused, you're rejected, but you are still coming out of this. And one of you, somebody here, someone in the sound of my voice who's listening, you need to lift your hands right now and thank God that you made it through the storm. It should have killed you, but you made it. The divorce, the bad marriage should have taken you out. The financial struggles, the rebellious child, the indifferent friendships, the betrayal, the broken heart, even things that were seemingly our own fault, things that we brought on ourselves. But you see, God has had mercy on you and mercy on me, and we've made it. We shouldn't have made it. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have made it through the storm. But you need to say to the enemy today, I'm still here. And so the word tells us they made it through the storm and they landed on an island. And it tells us that Paul began to gather sticks for the fire, and out of the sticks, a snake fastens itself to Paul's hand. Now, it's very interesting because, this wasn't just a cute little snake. This was a venomous snake, and it attached itself to Paul. And, he had to become actually violent and aggressive against it. And there are things in our lives that you can pray about. You can ask God, please take this cup from me, take this away. But there are some things that you actually must become violent and aggressive against. You must shake it loose. You need to shake the fear loose. You need to shake the depression loose. You need to shake that addiction loose. Shake that spirit of hopelessness and suicide loose. Shake that spirit of lust and perversion off of your life. Shake that spirit of poverty and lack loose. Shake that spirit of sickness and infirmity off of your life. Speak to it. Amory, how do I shake it? You speak to it, not in your authority, not in my authority, but in the authority of Jesus' name. Let it hear you. You need to let it hear you. You know why? Because you and I have an enemy. We have an enemy right now, just like Paul did when he got bit by that snake. It says they were all around him and they were waiting for him to die. They had seen it before. So they were waiting. And you have an enemy right now who's watching you, and he doesn't want you to make it. And he's anxiously waiting and anticipating your downfall. You have enemies that rejoice when they see you going through hardships and trials. They're watching. They're waiting to celebrate your downfall and celebrate your breakdown and celebrate your defeat. But I came to tell somebody today that not only are you going to make it, But you are not even going to look like you've been through what you've been through. You know, when the children of Israel walked through the Red Sea, God didn't just part the waters, He dried the ground that they walked on. I declare today you're walking on dry ground. And when they reached the other side, there wasn't even mud on them. And so for a little bit, it looked like the enemy was approaching and hinging upon them and was going to overtake them, but they just kept on walking, their eyes fixed forward. And while they were walking, God was taking care of their enemies. So I want to tell and encourage somebody today, keep walking. Keep walking. It doesn't matter what they say about you. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what the doctor says. It doesn't matter what the rebellious child says. It doesn't matter what the financial report says. When God gets through blessing you, you won't even look like you've been through what you've been through. And the only evidence of you going through what you went through is going to be a greater faith, a greater love, a greater confidence, a greater commitment, and a greater testimony. I declare this over you today. Shake it loose. Be blessed. I'm praying for you. I'll see you soon.